This series is based on my book, Anthony King's Guide to Michael Jackson's Dangerous Tour. You can also find Anthony King's Guide to Michael Jackson's History Tour, as well as Michael Jackson and Classical Music. They're all available on paperback as well as Amazon Kindle. You can find out more on my website, anthony-king.com. Dangerous Tour illusions and stage tricks. Michael Jackson loved to incorporate stage magic and illusions into his live shows. The Dangerous Tour is no exception, with a special stage entrance to start off the show, an anti-gravity lean during Smooth Criminal, a special coffin-inspired illusion for Thriller, along with other stage tricks for the dancers, a seated illusion where Michael would disappear from one side of the stage and appear in a new costume on the other side of the stage on his cherry picker above the crowd, and a spectacular trick where Michael Jackson appeared to don a rocket jetpack and fly out of the stadium, which actually never happened as he actually flew behind the stage. World-famous magician David Copperfield is often cited as the magic creator. In fact, he is indeed thanked in the show program. However, he was not the only magician that worked on the tour with Michael. In fact, it is generally given that Copperfield participated in the man-in-the-mirror illusion and the working day and night illusion. But there are several other tricks and stunts in the show, and it is unclear if he had any role in these. However, what is clear is that Michael worked with a wonderful magician called Franz Harary from 1984 right up until his death. Franz Harary is most famous for his history tour Spiker illusion, which many people do not know. After the tour, Michael personally gave the illusion back to Harary to use in his shows and to keep our magic alive. Harary also designed items for Michael's Neverland Ranch. All magicians and artists who worked with Michael are required to sign a non-disclosure agreements for obvious reasons, but it is my strong belief that Harary, although not officially credited, had a big hand in contributing to Michael Jackson's Dangerous Tour, including the Toaster. Jam entrance, the Toaster. Michael's entrance to the stage on the Dangerous Tour was probably one of the most spectacular openings to a show in entertainment history. The Toaster launched Michael 4 to 5 feet into the air before his opening song, Jam. The Toaster and Jam certainly make a good explosive mix. The name Toaster is actually a nickname based upon the kitchen appliance. Now, there are different types of constructions which have been used over the years, but although most modern pop tours have one or multiple toaster mechanisms, I believe that Michael's was probably the first on a major tour which launched the artist into the air at such speed. Trapdoors and platforms have been around for a long time, but not at this speed and particular style of stage entry. Michael would go on to add 5 of the contraptions on his next tour, but it appears that there are different mechanisms and devices depending on the designer. Nearly all modern versions are electronically triggered, often remotely. An electric motor fully automated will create the effect. However, I believe that there are also versions which are based on a pulley system and counterweights. If my memory serves me correctly, I remember seeing a video of a large lever being pulled down which then served to raise the platform at speed. So it's very possible that the original Dangerous Tour Toaster was mechanical rather than electronic. With that said, it still suffered breakdown. It suffered from mechanical failure twice on the tour at least, once in Paris, rendering the device unusable, and another time in London, Wembley Stadium, where he raised at a very slow speed instead of being launched at high speed into the air. To augment the effect, special music was created to really ramp up and build the energy, special lighting, and at the launch, a serious pyrotechnic display of 40 blasts. 20 of these blasts were from above and 20 blasts vertically. After the initial blast and Michael had landed, a shower of sparks would burn down to create a backdrop curtain of raining fire. The stage is fully covered with sheets, and soon after this display, these sheets are then removed and then the stage wiped down and swept for debris. Magician Franz Harary would later say in an interview, "The magic tends to make for a great opening, a great closing, or a great spectacular moment. One of my favourite memories when Michael Jackson popped up out of a box 3 feet away from the audience in the Dangerous Tour. I felt like that was a defining moment of my career." Notable toaster incidents. Wembley Stadium, 22nd of August, 1992. The toaster mechanism malfunctions, which means that he is unable to be catapulted onto the stage for the start of the show. A solution is found whereby he is brought up and raised at a very low level speed, with the same pyrotechnic explosions and a very slightly different musical presentation. Consequently, the council fined the show for breaking the 10:30 p.m. noise curfew, and the Sun newspaper reports this to be £60,000. Paris Hippodrome. Mechanical malfunction. We know that during Michael's entrance, something happened, as we have totally different musical entrance. We hear no gongs, build-up, just the roar and pyrotechnic explosions. I am told that Michael appeared on stage rather than through the toaster, as the toaster malfunctioned and was unable to be raised. This is the second show on the tour with an entrance mechanical failure. Smooth Criminal illusion. I am lucky that I count as my friend the co-choreographer of Smooth Criminal, Jeffrey Daniel. He not only co-choreographed the original short film, but actually performed the original lean with Michael in the iconic 1987-88 video. The original illusion was created by wires, and if you look closely at Michael's jacket in the famous photographs from the shoot, you can actually see his suit pinch slightly, indicating where the wires were. In case you don't know what the lean is, it is an illusion where one stands on the spot and with no seeming support leans forward and then returns to a standing upright position and then walks away. It's an incredible trick. I myself have performed it all over the world, first in 1998 and many times since. In fact, I constructed a mechanism myself to allow us to incorporate the trick into our show. Years later, a company in the Far East started to produce boots for performers. I tried them, but I didn't feel comfortable. The American vaudevillian actor Jack Haley originally performed a lean to the left and to the right all over the place in a famous 1939 film called The Wizard of Oz, which is a classic movie. However, Charlie Chaplin performed the stunt in his 1919 silent movie A Day's Pleasure, possibly inspired by Harry Ralph, also known as Little Tich, who was a music hall comedian 1867 to 1928. Michael was impressed and incorporated it into his video. His costume designer Michael Bush describes in his book The King of Style, dressing Michael after witnessing the original move on set and watching how happy Michael was. Dennis and I would be charged with the responsibility of making the same move happen live. It took Dennis 3 months to meet the challenge. The boots were designed to lace up mid-shin, supporting and immobilizing the ankle. On the bottom of the shoes, steel plates locked onto bolts in the floor. Jackson initially revisited, saying, "Bush, this isn't going to work." But it did work, and it would be, according to Michael Bush, incorporated into Michael's Bad Tour concert in Kansas City on the 23rd of February 1988. It's interesting that, in that case, the illusion was dropped from subsequent shows on the tour for some reason. However, the illusion was incorporated into the Dangerous tour in its entirety. For more on the original patents and details on the lean, check out the book. Practical application on the tour. Midway through the song, Michael and his dancers walk stage left and stand still. We then see Taco move onto the stage right, and perform a short solo dance, which he holds a lit dynamite stick, which he then proceeds to throw towards Michael. An explosive charge is detonated, and Michael and his dancers lean towards the floor and the crowd go wild. Michael and the dancers then continue dancing and then walk away. Taco and the misdirection. Taco comes on stage to create misdirection so that the audience are watching him instead of Michael, and the dancers get into position. Unfortunately, in daylight, it's clear what is happening and most people keep their eyes on Michael. However, when the sun is set and we had darkness, the illusion and misdirection worked very well. Michael talked about this in the rehearsals. We need to create some misdirection before the lean. The problem with the lean is, once they gear into those things, the audience should not see them getting into them. It ruins the whole illusion. So I want to create some misdirection over there, so they're looking over there. So once the misdirection happens, the attention is drawn back over here, and we're in for the boom. You know what I mean? Which is an idea I had for Taco to do something over there. Taco's dancing is pretty incredible, and we note that he's wearing goggles because there are sparks flying all over the place when he spins, which could have injured his eyes potentially. One thing which probably could have been adjusted is the fact that it's very obvious that Taco doesn't throw any dynamite. He merely hides it behind his coat. Now this is very transparent and probably detracted from the effect. The process and problems on the tour. Michael and his dancers have to walk to specific marks on the stage, which will be the spots where the pins will be raised through the stage, which they can then hook into. The marks are highlighted with glow-in-the-dark tape, and interestingly, these spots are not hidden. However, as they are so small, most people will not have seen them. In addition, the pins are so small that most people will not see them descending back into the stage. However, if you look closely during the trick in Bucharest, you can just about catch the retraction of the pins back into the stage. The illusion did not always go according to plan, such as on these occasions on the Dangerous Tour. Wembley Stadium. Michael failed to hook into his spot and had to put out his leg to support his weight, meaning that he could not complete the illusion. All evidence points to this happening on the 31st of July 1992. However, it is possible that it happened on another date at Wembley. Bremen, 8th of August 1992. Michael's backing dancer Jamie King falls during the lean and has to place his leg down to support his weight. Frankfurt, 28th of August 1992. Lavelle Smith, Michael's choreographer, fell during the lean with one leg being used to stop the fall. A second dancer, Randy, wasn't clipped and secured for the illusion, so had to put out his leg to support his own weight as well. This song was full of issues, including a fan who tried to attack Michael. Buenos Aires, Tuesday the 12th of October 1993. Lavelle Smith, Michael's choreographer, fell during the lean with one leg being used to stop a full fall. Other lean trivia. If you take a careful look, you will see that the backing dancer's distance between their pins is larger than the distance between Michael's. I suspect that this is to make Michael look more majestic and graceful when he performs the illusion. Also, if you take a look at Michael's Oslo show on the tour, just after Human Nature, you will see Michael Bush walk on with the boots and Michael puts them on in front of the drum riser.